Welcome to the Explainer. Solar power is incredible, but it's got this one huge, obvious problem, right? What happens when the sun goes down? Well, today we're going to look at a technology that might just have the answer.
So yeah, what does happen? This is the big question, isn't it? The entire dream of a renewable energy future kind of hits a wall right here. Solar is fantastic, but, well, it's intermittent. It's not always there when you need it. The sun sets, a big cloud rolls in, and poof, the power output just plummets. And that's a massive barrier to running a stable, reliable grid.
All right, so to really get our heads around the solution, we first have to understand the problem with the solar panels we see everywhere. You know the ones, those dark, flat panels on rooftops and in huge fields. They're called photovoltaics, or PV for short, and they come with one big, fundamental limitation.
Here's the deal with PV. It's a direct conversion. Sunlight hits the panel, and zap, electricity comes out instantly. It's an amazing trick, but that same feature is also its biggest weakness. The moment that sunlight is gone, the electricity is gone. There's no buffer, no saving some for later. It is literally an all-or-nothing game.
But what if? What if there was another way to think about solar energy? This brings us to a totally different approach, something called concentrated solar power, or CSP. And the big idea here is to stop focusing so much on the sun's light and start focusing on its heat.
And this is where you can really see the fundamental difference. PV is a straight shot, a direct line from light to electricity. But CSP is smarter. It takes this indirect route. It goes from light to heat and then from heat to electricity. And that little detour, that extra step, well, that changes everything. That's the secret sauce. Because heat, you see, can be stored.
And what's wild is that this process is actually super familiar. It's basically the same way we've been generating power in coal and gas plants for over 100 years. Boil water, make steam, spin a turbine. The revolutionary part isn't the turbine. It's the fuel. Instead of burning fossil fuels, you're using thousands of mirrors to concentrate pure sunlight, creating an incredibly powerful and storable source of heat.
And this is where it all clicks. This is the absolute game changer. Because once you've captured the sun's energy as heat, you could just store it as heat. This is what's known as thermal energy storage, and it is the missing piece of the renewable puzzle. It's what allows a solar plant to say, you know what, I don't care if the sun set 3 hours ago, I've still got the energy.
So how exactly do they do this? Well, one of the most common designs is called a parabolic trough. You see these long curved mirrors? They're basically acting like a lens, focusing all the sunlight that hits them onto that single pipe running down the center. There's a fluid inside that pipe, and it gets unbelievably hot. We're talking around 400 degrees Celsius. Just for perspective, that's hot enough to melt lead. Easily.
Then there's the even more powerful version, the central receiver, or as people call it, the power tower. This thing looks like something out of science fiction. You have this huge field of mirrors, they're called heliostats, that all track the sun, and they're all aiming at a single receiver at the top of that tower. It's like a giant precision-engineered magnifying glass. The temperatures up there get insane, up to 565 degrees Celsius.
Okay, so here's how the magic really happens. The mirrors heat up that fluid, right? But here's the clever bit. That fluid doesn't make electricity directly. Nope, its only job is to transfer all that incredible heat into a giant tank full of molten salt. Yeah, you heard that right. Salt that's so hot it's a liquid. This tank is basically a giant insulated thermos, and it acts like a thermal battery, holding onto that heat for hours. Then, whenever the grid needs power, day or night, they just pump the hot salt out, use it to boil water, and bam, electricity, completely on demand. And let's be clear, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea. This stuff is real, and it's working right now. By the end of 2021, there was already a global capacity of 27,500 megawatt-hours of this storage technology. These are massive utility-scale plants operating around the world.
So this brings up the obvious question. Which one's better, the cheap, common PV panels or this fancy CSP with storage? But that's really the wrong way to look at it. It's not about which technology wins, it's about understanding that they have totally different jobs to do.
This chart lays it all out pretty clearly. Look, PV is cheaper to install, and it's modular. You can put it on your roof or build a giant farm. But its power is intermittent. It's there when the sun's there. CSP costs more upfront and needs a lot of space. But, and this is a huge but, it offers something PV can't on its own: integrated large-scale storage that makes its power dispatchable. All that means is a grid operator can flip a switch and get power from it whenever they need it. That's a massive deal.
And that dispatchable quality,
That's the key to CSP's biggest impact. This isn't just about making solar power available at night. It's about providing the kind of rock-solid stability and reliability that our entire energy grid depends on.
I mean, just think about what that really means. A CSP plant with storage can act just like a traditional fossil fuel plant, but with zero pollution. A grid operator can call on it to ramp up power to meet peak demand in the evening, or provide a steady, continuous supply all through the night. It delivers the stability the grid needs, all from the sun.
So this leads us to a whole new vision for the future of solar. The debate isn't PV versus CSP. The best, most reliable clean energy grid is going to come from using them together, working in synergy. They're not competitors, they're teammates. So let's just imagine what this grid looks like. During the day, you have massive, low-cost PV farms generating tons of cheap electricity when the sun is at its peak. At the exact same time, CSP plants are also generating power and, crucially, charging up their thermal batteries. Then, as the sun starts to set and PV output drops off a cliff, the CSP plants kick in, using the energy they stored all day to fill that evening demand and supply steady power all through the night. It creates this perfect, seamless, 24/7 flow of clean solar energy.
It really is a powerful and elegant idea. By turning sunlight into simple, storable heat, we can transform solar power from an intermittent resource into a firm, reliable foundational pillar for a clean energy grid. It completely changes the conversation about what's possible with the power of the sun.